Welcome back, baseball family, to this week's new segment of the Baseball Together podcast where we drop interviews on Fridays. Today we had an absolutely fabulous discussion with Kory DeHaan, and we talked to him about what it's like in a big league clubhouse and player development for the next generation. Welcome back, baseball family. So today we're going to be talking to Kory DeHaan. He is a small town Midwest kid who got to play big league baseball and gets to help kids learn the game. That's what he told us, and I love it. So I wrote it down and I used it. Welcome, Kory. How are you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for inviting me on the show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Love it. We're excited. So before we get too deep into things, we want to do the same thing we do with all of our guests. We're going to get you caught in a rundown. And so the first question is the hardest hitting of them all. What is your quest?
What's my quest? Well, everybody is, brought into this world with a purpose, right? You want to fulfill that purpose, and kids are searching for it. You don't know what it is really until you get into some things with life. But I think early on, you get passionate about stuff. And I had a passion for baseball, similar to you guys. You got a passion for the game. You love the ins and outs of it, and you have some success with it. So you're like, okay, when people are clapping, when you're doing stuff, it's like, that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So you want to keep doing it. And you find out that, man, I think I was created to play this game. I think I was created to be a part of it in some way. Because if I'm not able to play it, how can I help give back? So sometimes life puts you in other directions and you get motivated by other things. And it's like, this is the wrong direction. I'm doing things for the wrong reasons. And you want to get back into, what do I love doing? What do I feel called to do? How do I feel like I'm inspiring others? How do I feel like I'm making a difference? I'm getting up. It's not going to work. It's literally, you just love what you're doing. And so my quest is to constantly live in that, not get sucked into the worldly way at times of what the world says might be success. But yet just keep diving into relationships, diving into life with people, and let's get a little bit better every day.
Oh my gosh, awesome. You have no idea how much I relate, because I seriously though, because I played baseball, and then when I wasn't playing baseball anymore, I was like, what do I want to do? And everybody's like, go into medicine. I was like, all right. So I was pre-med. I worked in healthcare for like 6 years in pharmacy. And then I was like, I hate this. And then I wanted to be a sports writer, went back to school, and now I'm doing this stuff. So absolutely, I relate to what you're saying. That's fantastic. Yep. That's so great. I love every bit of it. My next question for you is, this is a tough one. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color. I actually like the boring colors. I like the black. I like the gray. I kind of like the light gray. I like it plain and simple. I don't like having to be a bold color by any means. So it's kind of that. But I love Florida. And that's why I live in Florida, because I love the sun. So I need sunlight, but my color is probably on that gray black side. I don't know why. It's just kind of in that area. That's probably too much information, but
no, for why I like the color. It's great. Okay, so if baseball was an ice cream flavor, what would it be?
I love chocolate chip cookie dough, but I also love this thing called Moose Tracks. And baseball is my dream, and ice cream is my dream. So every night, it's a little bit of scoop of ice cream. After you get done playing baseball, you're like, this was a perfect day. But yeah, a lot of the little caramel and chocolate mixed in with some ice cream is top notch in my book.
That's awesome. It's a winning combination. Yeah, it is. I'm going to ask Brad. I'm going to ask Brad's favorite question next, okay? Is Babe Ruth overly romanticized?
Is he overly romanticized? I think that he was attracted. He was attractive to people back in that day, and he put up some serious numbers, and he was kind of not a prototypical what you would look at as like, man, this guy's the physique, the stallion of a movie, of a hero type thing. It was like, I don't think he was really that dude, but I think he had the confidence and he had power and he had almost like an I don't care what you think. So I almost get into trouble a lot doing that. But people took to it. And when you put up some early numbers like that, it's like he is the king, right? So I think he has every right to have that romanticizedness by people. But I think that, and it also shows baseball is beautiful because it doesn't have to be just the most elite looking athlete. It can be like I played with a ball player by the name of Alex Pelaez, and he's still a hitting coach in the Reds organization, but his nickname was the plumber. And it was awesome because he'll tell you, I'm like, I've got kind of a plumber body. I don't have the most ideal looking body. But it was awesome because it just shows you it don't matter what your body type is. If you can hit, if you can throw, if you can play, the coach wants you in the game to help win ball games.
Yeah. You would think, like, looking back, like, you would think Honus Wagner would have been the guy who put up the numbers that Babe Ruth did, because that dude was a hoss. He was huge, right?
Country strong.
But then it's exactly right. But it's Babe Ruth who did it. Who, look, kind of the plumber body too. Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
stuff.
Honus was a Pittsburgh guy too, right? I thought he was.
Yeah.
He did a lot with the Pirates, but
yeah.
Anyway,
kind of a little bit of everything. Anyway, so that's the rundown. That's some of the stuff we like to ask everybody. I'm really curious about that Babe Ruth one because we talk about that a lot.
Yeah, and Kory, Brad's losing this argument, right?
I got out to an early lead, but it hasn't gone my way lately.
No. He's on the overly romanticized part. I'm on the it's absolutely earned and deserved, and we should continue to romanticize in part. So
just because of old-timey sports writers, Brig, that's all. Just I don't trust old-timey sports writers. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's my job. Old-timey sports writer.
Anyway. All right. Anyway, okay, let's get it. So this is the question I'm always curious about everybody who played big league baseball. Where were you and what was it like when you got the call to get up to the show?
So mine was a unique situation. I ended up going from basically 2.5 years, 3 years in the minor leagues with the Pirates, and only had played 7 weeks under my belt in Double-A. And you get a chance. This was back in 99, at the end of 99. And I'd put up some decent numbers, 98, 99 in the minor leagues, but nothing that was going to be like, yeah, this kid's ready for the big leagues. Well, a couple of pieces fell into the right spots, and this Rule 5 draft happens, and I get selected by the San Diego Padres. And so I get a call from Kevin Towers saying, congratulations, you've earned an opportunity to come over to the San Diego Padres. I'm going like, awesome, fun. How cool is that? What does that look like? So I go into spring training, 2000, nothing to lose really. I somehow play my rear end off, and I get every hit is falling. I'm like any kind of wipe up duty. I'm like stealing a base. I'm doing something pretty cool. I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. Yeah, this is normal. Yep, this is normal. Here we go. And I'm like, this is not normal. What is happening here? And it was a little bit of a freakish thing. I ended up hurting my knee off a foul ball, but I got a call from Bruce Bochy. Later, I keep seeing people go down. This is my first time in a big league clubhouse. It's my first time in a big league spring training. This is my first time around Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hopp, and Phil Nebb and Klesko Booney. I'm going like, oh my goodness, these are like dudes. I'm just trying to act cool, act like I know what I'm doing. Yep, I've been here before. I've done that, and it's almost a little bit of rookie hazing already. Not too bad, but I'm just trying to keep my mouth shut and work. Like get there early, work. Try to be a guy that's around a lot. Listen, shut your mouth, listen, and end up Peach Piccolo. Rob Piccolo's passed away, but amazing guy. He ends up calling me into the office. Bochy wants to see you, and Boch, in his big old manly voice and big head and big old paws of a catcher, is just like, Kory, congratulations, you've earned a spot on this team. Welcome to San Diego Padres. You're going to be with us in San Diego. I'm like, oh my goodness. I couldn't even I floated out of the room, right? To get an opportunity to 6 weeks under my belt at AA, and I somehow earned a position on a big league roster. I mean, this is craziness. So it was that was an unbelievable feeling, but I knew I had my work cut out for me because I hadn't earned anything. I hadn't proven anything. I had to show up every morning, earn my opportunity to even speak, really, and then and just keep watching, keep learning, keep seeing what good guys are doing. You know, you watch the Tony Gwynns, you watch the Trevor Hoffmans, you watch them get there early, and I'm like, man, they could sleep in, they could take their time, they've earned their spot, but they're like, no, we got guys coming for us. We got guys who want to take our position, and here's how you do it. You get here early, you put your reps in, you get yourself to a good position, you get out, you play the game, and then you go home, recover, get ready for tomorrow, and you find a good routine that works. And so I just tried to be a little puppy dog, just hanging around, just trying to watch and listen and not get poked fun of too bad, but whatever. It was a blast. It was a blast. I said a lot more than that, but it was awesome to have Bochy say, congratulations, you've earned yourself a spot on this team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love everybody talks about Bochy's big old head. I saw him in spring training this year, and I was like 2 rows back. He was like standing right there on the foul line. I leaned over my dad. I was like, he does have a big head. That's enormous. It's so big.
He's got the white eyelash as well. So when you look at him, it kind of like throws you for a loop at first. You're like, oh, okay, that's normal. That's okay. Okay, I haven't seen that very much, but it's like everybody's got their unique characteristics. So it's awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
for
so
sure.
Cool. Love it. So
what was it like standing beside those towering giants of the game? Like, not just learning from them, but the atmosphere around them must have been electric. Or were they so steady that it was just a whisper in the night kind of? I've heard both sides, you know, when you're up against that type of presence. What was your experience?
Well, back in that day, there was more of a, hey, shut up, rookie. You don't say anything. We're the dudes. And they came with most of them came with a confidence and almost to the point of an arrogance. But you got to have that in the game of baseball. That's that mental side that if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you, right? So you've got to speak to yourself in a way, but also that respects each other, respects the game, because everybody thinks a lot of times too. So you're humbled a lot in the game. But it was so I went in eyes wide open. I'm a relational guy, and it was hard not to get relational, but I was like, okay, I want to get to know these guys. But at that high of a level, there are walls. So guys have their walls up. They're like, ooh, keep everybody at arm's length, because what do they want, right? There's what angle are you coming at? But once you start doing life together, you start building that trust. You start building who you are, what you believe in, all the good stuff. And it's like, okay, now that trust is built. Now there's more openness and stuff. But it was a lot of, again, getting there early. Tony working on his swings. He was hurt a lot too, so I got to be his sub on the bases. I got to play on defense. He was always pissed because Boch would always put me in. He'd have me pinch run for him after he got like his third hit of the night, and then I'd go play defense. And it was the easiest job in the world, because if we were in the lead, guess who's coming in? Mr. Hoffman. And most of the time, you're not getting many balls out to the field anyway. So I get to go stand out there, listen to the hell's bells, especially in San Diego. Crowd's going crazy. Trevor comes in, does his thing. And Tony was always mad at me because he's like, I never get to be on the field during a win and shaking hands. You're always taking my spot. And he would say it jokingly, because he was one of those guys that was like, dude, if anybody gives any crap, just let me know. I got the most time on this team. I'll let them know. But getting there early, doing what you got to do to be prepared in your swing, but also for the game that night. And then Booney, Ed Sprague, Dave Magadan, some of these older dudes that have been in the game a while. I mean, it's just after the game, sitting in the little cafeteria around a table, maybe having a drink or two and just chilling and revisiting what happened in the game and what we could have done better and how we should have been in a better position, or just talking the game of what has happened in the past. And every once in a while they'd let me have a seat at that table. Not often, but every once in a while I'd sneak in there and just, again, keep my mouth shut and just kind of listen and be a part of that stuff. But that is, I think, a lot of times what the game's missing now as we're moving forward. A lot of guys are more silos, even worse at times. They're more get in, play your game, get out, go do. And I get that. If you got family and you got other stuff, you got to do it. But during that season, you got 180 days, you got 162 games. I mean, it is like you are family. You got to figure out how to do life together, go through the ups and the downs. You got to trust each other on that field. You're going to probably have fights. You're going to have disagreements. How do you be big boys and say, put it away and get back on that field and get ready to go win that next pitch, go win that next at bat and that next game? So it's, I learned a ton from that. I wish I could have continued to apply a little bit more, but again, it's God's got a purpose for everything. And mine was eventually to get called out of the game and get back into the coaching side.
Love that. So you talk about kind of the walls and the silos with guys. Do you feel like part of that is because, like, I don't know if the guy next to me is going to be here tomorrow because of potential trades? Is that part of it? So, like, does that, because on the outside looking in, we think of like clubhouse cohesion, chemistry, and things like that, but it sounds like there's not nearly as much of that as we would want there to be, right? So is there kind of like a limitation in that because you don't know who's going to be here tomorrow?
I think in the end, it's all personality driven. Part of it is you don't want to get too close because, like you just said, they could be gone tomorrow, and all of a sudden you're like, where'd my best buddy go? And he's down in AAA, or he's down at the next stop, or he just got traded. But in baseball, too, you pick up right where you left off. So at times when you're in the game, you're around it, you're seeing each other usually when you're playing each other, or if they're on your team, or the next year if you're on different teams, or you're just always, you pick up right where you left off, right? And you're like, hey, how's the family? How's everything going? But there's also personalities, like getting a chance to play with Sean Burrows. And he just passed recently too. And it was, talk about a personality. That kid lived life to the fullest. And he loved baseball and the excitement and the joy and you got to be a little crazy at times too, to have to put up with a lot of baseball stuff. But he loved living a little bit crazy and wild at times too. But in the clubhouse, everything was sacred. So that's part of being ball players. You have some fun in the clubhouse, and then you get out and, all right, let's go play our game. Let's go get it. So tying in, it just depends on the personality. Are you willing to open up a little bit, or are they a little more veteran where they're like, I'm good, I got my stuff? I think nowadays the veterans are looking at these younger rookies and saying, hey, we need your help. We need your bat. We need your arm. Let's go. Come in. Yes, you got to earn your stripes, but dude, you can have an impact. Like you see the Skeens on the Pirates right now. He's coming up. Yeah, he's an impact player already. Yeah. And he hasn't hardly put in or earned his stripes, but he's earning his stripes every day that he's proving in the big league. So you start proving yourself, you start getting street cred. It's like, okay, yeah, he's earned some opportunity to speak up in a clubhouse. And ultimately, I think the coach, the head coach, the managers, they create that kind of atmosphere because they want it to be team led. They want it to be player led. So that's why, like, Kangaroo Court is a fun thing that's been held in the past, and it still might be held. But it was something where we would always poke fun of each other. We would always give each other hard times, and we'd look to razz on you. Because guess what? When you go out into Philly or you go out into New York or Wrigley, there's going to be bleacher bums out there that are razzing the tar out of you. And if you don't have thick skin, you got to be able to stay locked in, do your thing, compete under pressure. And so if we can't give you a hard time, you got to be able to laugh at yourself, poke fun of yourself. And that's kind of the lightheartedness, hopefully, of the game too. Because if you're trying to be too serious, you're probably not going to be in the game too long.
So I want to talk about that clubhouse cohesion thing. We, on the fan side, we always think, who's the X Factor guy? Who's the clubhouse guy that's kind of holding things together and the towel waving, and maybe their performance speaks for itself, but maybe they're doing things in the clubhouse. You know, there's all these stories about Anthony Rizzo doing shenanigans, right? And the team just sort of rallying around him. How much of that is accurate, and how much of that is important?
It's very important. I remember our older veteran guys in spring training, especially, doing some kind of practical jokes. We had a boxing fight set up where we had like a ring and big old boxing gloves, and we had our trainer or our clubhouse attendant go out, and they were fighting each other, and it was some form of loose activity. And I think it started way back when you would dress up the same. You'd have, all right, support your other professional teams in your city. Maybe it's dress up like you're a rock star. Maybe it's dress up, I don't know, some form of theme that you go out and do. But it's kind of funny when, you say a joke and, oh, I'm just joking, but a little of the joke is still true, right? And it's still a little personable. Sure. So it'll catch people the wrong way. And some people sometimes like want to fight over it too. And that's like stupid, but it's some of it is true. So I was like, okay, guys, it's true, but it's a joke. But if you really want to do it, I mean, the practical jokes, you hear about the car up on stilts or up on blocks and the tires are all gone. You're like, what the heck just happened? Or something, goofy happens. I mean, if you put yourself out there in a way where you think you're bigger than the game or bigger than life, you're going to be taken down pretty quick. I mean, as rookie hazing, we got, after a game, I didn't get a ton of at-bats. I didn't get a ton of hits. I struck out a lot. But I had 2 home runs. My second home run was in Wrigley Field. I'm like, unbelievable, right? You hit a home run in Wrigley Field, you can die a happy man. I came back off the field after that game, and our clubhouse is our lockers are completely empty except for a skirt, like a dress, a Skittles dress hanging there. And all the rookies had to put on dresses and wear like stilettos and it was the goofiest thing ever. But it was part of like, oh man, I thought it was something. And now I'm like, I've got to dress up in a goofy outfit on my way home. Yeah. And so, yeah, it is very important because you got to keep it fun and light and have just a good time. Because you start getting after it, and it's like the game just wears on you. So
yeah, in the Army we had 2-minute boxing matches. Oh, we'd meet each other, and we're like, I can't do it anymore. What I'm trying isn't working. We got 2 minutes to figure this out. That's just take care of business real quick, and then we go back to being on the same team.
Yeah, like go out back, figure it out, and let's go. If you got to fight or whatever, just don't kill yourselves, but let's go.
Right. Yeah.
Don't punch him with your throwing hand. But
yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious, what was the most noticeable thing, like when you jumped from the minors to the big leagues? Like, I talked to a guy one time and he's like, it feels like there are 20 fielders out there because you cannot get the ball on the ground. Like, was that something, just the range of big league fielders? Was that bonkers?
Yeah. More consistent plays being made, from pitches being made, good swings being made. Everything was just more consistent. I mean, that's really the bottom line. It's not that the stuff is that great between a rookie ball player and a big league player. It's just they can command it. They can consistently do what they want to do with it. So like in the minor league system, you're coming up trying to learn consistency in your pitch, in your swing, in your approach, so that when you get to AA, AAA, now you can actually start putting a plan together to say, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's how I want to attack them. I know I can trust my secondary pitch. I know I can trust my zone awareness, so I can stay on a pitch, stay disciplined to maybe a certain area that I'm looking. But the big leagues, they make every play. It's as hard to do it. But you also look at it and you say, my whole life I've been having to wait for a pitch to go over the plate to hit it. The plate's not any bigger. It's still the exact same plate. He's got to throw it in this box. I'm pretty good at hitting things that come in this box. Dude, go trust yourself. Go out there and trust. You can see it. Find a way to put the ball in play. Hit it hard somewhere. I'm not they do a great job of hitting the fly balls or ground balls, or I know pitchers really can manipulate and create that. So I trust you when somebody said, man, it was hard to get the ball in the air. But it fell. They knew where to put it in a strategy that they would see what your weakness was and they would just exaggerate it. So if guys can get away with things in spring training because you're kind of just warming up, it's not too overly strategized. You're getting things going, you're getting things in the flow. But once they see a weakness, boom, it's sharks in the water, blood in the water type thing. They know exactly. And so you've got to make adjustment. But all the good coaches usually say, don't make an adjustment until they make an adjustment. So if you're doing well pitching, stick with it until they prove they can hit you. Then make an adjustment. As a hitter, stick with your approach. If you're hitting the ball away and they're driving it away, perfect. Stick with it until they force you to go inside. Okay, now you got to show them you can hit that inside pitch too. So you can say cat and mouse game at times, but it's ultimately just what are you committed to? What do you know you're good at? Be ready for the good. Sometimes the good's not going to happen, but you stay committed to the plan. Don't be too wishy-washy on going back and forth between plans. Stay committed to a plan. Know your strengths, and you got to be willing to lose with your ultimate plan that you know that's going to work. But in the end, it does come back into like we did at the end of games. We'd sit back and we'd process what happened in the game. How could I have been better? How can I make adjustments next time? I mean, I'm going to face this pitcher again. I'm going to see this team again. That's the beautiful thing about baseball. You see them so much, so they get a book on you. For some reason, some teams you do great against. The other teams you do sucky against. Whatever reason. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And usually it's the teams that you do good against that they want to trade for you eventually later down the line, too. It's funny like how that works. But I'm constantly trying to teach my younger kids physical attributes are amazing, and we're all going to have a limit at how big, how strong, how tall, how fast we get. But the guys that are the smartest on the field, that know the game, that understand what to do when the ball's hit to them, those are the guys that coaches so want. I want guys that know the game, that are smart, have baseball IQ, can be not just the fastest runner, but good base runners, know when to steal, how to do it the best they can. So I'm getting a little on tangent wise, but
it's good.
I'm rambling too much.
No,
So
you're fine.
that was the perfect thing to say, because tell us about Hit Lab and why you started it, what your goals are with it, how people can find it if they want to come be a part of it. Like, tell us about it.
Cool. So Hit Lab was birthed out of, well, really it's a God thing. So I'm a faith guy. I love what God's done in my life and how he's created me and create a purpose and a passion and a love for this game and for others. And I feel called to the game of baseball in whatever facet. So I felt like I've been given an opportunity that not many people get, from playing all the way up to the big leagues, to having that experience with dirt in your cleats, to then also saying, hey, you actually have an opportunity if you want to impact this younger generation. And so I got to jump back into the pro side, got to be a pro coach for 12, 13 years with the Padres and the Pirates, the same teams that I played with, go figure. And then got fired from the Pirates, went over COVID, ended up going to IMG. IMG is an amazing academy, sports academy, amateur academy. A lot of up and coming, on the cusp, cutting edge type things. Coached there for 3 years, amazing, great people, but just had a call to start my own thing. And like, I'm stupid if I don't try my own thing. And I'll regret it the rest of my life if I don't. And so the support of Dan Simons, Dave Turgeon, all these dudes over at IMG were like, you got to do it. Give it a try. But if it doesn't work, come on back. We'd love to have you over here. So I'm like, okay, that's a godsend right there. Just a feeling of that. Mm-hmm. So good people around the Bradenton Palmetto area. We open up a facility, open up some travel teams with the hopes of impacting the amateur side of baseball, sports, families, and bring a higher quality of coaching, higher quality of education, development to kids and families that are paying, it seemed like, a ton of money for an experience to try to better their kid, put their kid in a better position to make the team, to make the high school team, eventually to go beyond. And so in the meantime, I ended up getting asked to coach the local high school team as well. And I'm like, I'm not doing it unless I have a lot of good people around me. Well, these people stepped up and they said, as parents, we'll help, we'll make this work. So I get the opportunity to have an impact on a varsity and JV program. I get to oversee the whole program, impact coaches, impact kids, impact parents. That's the fun of the youth as well, all the drama that can come with parents. So how are we educating our parents? And trying, because I get it, man. If you don't know, you don't know, right? So parents are kind of doing stuff out of fear of the unknown, and you don't understand it, you don't get it. What's the best way? So you're trying to walk alongside them as well and say that there's no best way, but here's ways that we've seen work in the past. If you want to try, go this way. But we're trying to create opportunities for kids and families to partner through Hit Lab with, first off, just with learning the game, being coached up in a culture that is about competing. It's about respecting the game, or honoring and respecting God first and foremost, respecting each other, respecting the game. What does that look like? I mean, it's integrity is part of our acronym of Hit Lab. Toughness is part of our acronym. Learning is part of our acronym. Adaptability, and then being bold with that. And how does our mission then? How do we create like-minded individuals or come alongside like-minded folks to say this is a messy process? It's not a perfect science, but if you want to jump in with an opportunity for your kid to grow, to learn, to constantly be competing, to become more athletic in general, especially at the younger ages, build the athleticism, build the fun. If we can create a culture like that they keep wanting to come back after about 90 or 105 minutes, like if we can do amazing things. It shouldn't be a 3-hour practice of just twiddling our thumbs at times and guys standing around. It should be fast paced, moving, a lot of intentional, purposeful reps, and game like reps. We will always try to create stress or create something's on the line.
Mm-hmm.
So that if we're doing this in practice, don't care, next pitch. Emotions, don't care. Right, get it, let's go. Right back to it. Fire, get locked back in, get a quick reset, and we're back into it. I want it to be harder in our practice setup than it is in the game. And ultimately, yeah, do kids need some love at first too? Of course, we need to love them, and we need to build that confidence and build some success. So that's our feel good type of practice. But then our get good is going to be a challenge BP, or it's going to be a dirty fastball on the outside corner. It's going to be a slider I got to battle with 2 strikes. I mean, it's a tough challenge that I'm creating unfair situations, and you still got to find a way to solve the problem. And that's what we're creating, and we're trying to find good people to keep teaming with us. And it's funny how just God keeps bringing good people around, and so we're slowly building a fun culture, a fun organization and it's not just, I want to hit this up too, because this is really important on our side, but it's not just about tournaments. It's not just about having to spend your whole weekend at a tournament and kids ruining their arms, because usually the best kids are playing some shortstop or catching, and then they're throwing a ton on the mound because they've got to. And it's like, we're doing a disservice to our youth right now. Let's create high quality reps during the week. Let's create some fun scrimmages on Saturday. Let's be the Chick-fil-A of tournament baseball. Let's have that Sunday, maybe even as much as possible, where we can have that be a family day, to go out on the boat, to go to church, to hang out and do family stuff, and not have it so overly, if he's not getting these reps, they're not going to make it to the next. Stop. We can create a fun culture where the kid is getting better, he's getting pushed, and again, but it creates. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody, and I get it. So some people are going to love it. Some people are going to be like, "That's not for me." Cool. Go. There's 100 other McDonald's and type things to go to. Go enjoy that. But we're trying to create some interest and fun of how to grow our young boys into young men, and realize that it's not just about the game too. It's how to be a good teammate, how to come alongside and encourage when tough things are going on, and keeping your head up and always dwelling on the good. So that's in a nutshell kind of what we're trying to do. Another big part is growing our coaches, because our coaches there's some really cool coaches, parents that have a lot of investment because they want their kids to be good. So they're trying to learn and ask questions, and how do we do this? But also we've got a good nucleus of younger players that maybe love the game, but are figuring out, I'm not able to take it beyond college, or maybe I had a couple years of pro, but I'm I'm feeling that's not the way for me anymore. Do you love the game? Let's go. I'll teach you. I've been in the pro. We've been in the pro. We've been in the high school. We've been inside. I'm still learning on the college ins and outs, but it's there's not just one me. There's not just one other guys that are really good, and it's not about me. It's about what are the culture that all of us are creating, and if we can continue to build coaches that understand what we're trying to do, they're going to have the biggest impact and hopefully get a chance beyond Hit Lab. Hopefully it's the next high school job or assistant or next college job or assistant or a pro. And how cool to be like a Saban that's continually developing some amazing assistant coaches that go on and do some things. That'd be like feather in your cap. Let's go. That's so cool to be able to see some of that stuff. So
that's awesome. I love it. I wish I had a high school coach that wanted to make baseball fun. That would have been awesome. But so I have one more question for you. Before we wrap. I want to know, do you have the ball from your first big league hit, and do you have the ball from your first big league home run?
Yes. I do. They're up in my closet somewhere right now. I don't know why, but I do have them. And it was kind of funny because I think after one of the hits, it was either the hit, I think it was the hit, and they put a goofy ball, and they had it all like transcribed and written very goofy and looking like what bad penmanship, and it was a total joke. And then they put the actual real ball in there, all very beautiful handwritten, and the date and who you had to hit off of. And so it was, yes, I've got those not behind a glass case because eventually I've got to have them up and somewhere. But it's cool memorabilia that I think my girls finally realized too. They're like, "Oh, Dad, wow, you were maybe something back in the day." I'm like,
yeah,
just maybe.
Yeah, we're both parents as well. Every time I look at I have my girls, I'm like, dude, I used to be cool, man. I promise.
So my son has a handful of autographed balls because I live in Phoenix, so we go to spring training. We go to like the backfields and everything. He has like 6 balls filled with autographs, and they were just sitting on my shelf with like my basketball shorts and stuff. My wife's like, "You got to do something with these because they can't just sit here forever." So I finally got the little plastic cases, and he's got them all pyramided up in his room and everything now. But yeah, so I get just throwing them in the closet, and I was like, I've got like George Kirby and Julio Rodriguez on there for him, like I've got to protect these.
I know. Yeah, those are great stories, right? They're just great stories to tell. Remember at this game when we got this and that, and it's I love it. Absolutely love it, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Well, Kory, we're not going to take too much more of your time. We know you're a busy man, but this has been a joy, and we want to thank you so much for coming on and talking. And we hope you'll come back. And you've got tons of stories and tons to say, and we have tons of questions. So let's do this again.
Happy to. Anytime, guys. Absolutely. I love chatting it up.
Beauty.
Love it.
We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll close it out for our baseball family. Baseball family, thanks so much for joining us for yet another awesome conversation. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Hope you got as much out of it as we did. And we're definitely going to have Kory back on. That was such a good experience for us. And he said the same things. So it's very, very exciting. We're loving it. But baseball family, if you love what we're doing and if you want to see more interviews like this, there are a bunch of ways to support the show. You can do it on Patreon. There are 5 tiers of support there. You can go to Chinook Seeds and get the best seeds ever. Using code BTPOD, you get 10% off. Plus, it supports the show, and you get the best seeds ever. And there are a number of other ways. Get in the description. Hunt down all the ways to support the show. But the easiest way is to like, subscribe, rate, review, share. So if we're on all the social media platforms, if you want to just like hit a repost on X or share it with somebody on Instagram or the Tiki-Taki machine, those are great ways to support the show as well. And as always, we will catch you next time.